Kingdom Team, all call-time questions, answers. You got those questions, we've got those answers. It is time to answer one of your questions. And this week, we are being asked the question, all from Progress City Time, saying, hey, do you see a scenario where the 28,000 employees who were subjected to layoffs will ever be rehired by Disney? Something that we've covered in recent weeks is the very unfortunate reality of so many tens of thousands of cast members, tens of thousands of employees from across the Walt Disney Company, Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Imagineering, and beyond, who have either been let go or are currently being notified that they no longer have a job. This is a great question because I think that there's hope that potentially we will see, theme park and tourism rebound, and maybe those people can be hired back. However, there's a couple of things that have happened in the last few weeks that lead me to think we're not out of the woods yet, and I don't know if we're going to see even a bulk of those people, unfortunately, return. One of the key pieces of evidence to that is that the Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, has said that he's not ruling out more layoffs, and I would understand that as a CEO of a company during this climate, or any company, you're probably not going to rule that out because you don't know what's around the corner and you don't know how much worse things are going to sort of devolve into. But Bob Chapek has recently mentioned that in an interview, saying that we hope we don't have to make more layoffs at the theme parks. We're watching very carefully what the state of California does as an indicator for whether we can retain some of our cast that are right now on furlough. We'd like to keep them on furlough until we can reopen. But I think what the government said was no time soon, we're not going to be pressured into reopening. Of course, he's referring to Disneyland there. That obviously gives us some pause. We'd like to put our cast members back to work, as many of them as soon as possible, if the government would let us do it. So you're seeing some deflection there from the CEO of Disney back onto the state of California. And this has been a very delicate balance because you also have a contingency of cast members and people that have been furloughed or laid off saying, Disney, you chose to lay us off. You chose to push us out the door. And, you're telling us that there wasn't any other possibility. There wasn't any other avenue we could travel. We're also seeing calls from Senator Elizabeth Warren, who has come out and said, hey, Disney, you need to answer for the rainy day fund that you basically spent. You've spent yourself into oblivion. Your executives got their pay reinstated, and now you're in a position where you're laying people off left and right. We have talked about this before, guys, where that was kind of the case, right? Where we saw how basically executive pay, which had been strangled a little bit as we marched through that entire pandemic and sort of what felt like the worst of things as stuff was shut down. The pay returned for executives across the board, and the optics of it all looked terrible because not only did the pay return, but then, what was it, a week later, they started laying people off. I don't know how tone deaf of a company you can be to have done something like that so close together. I understand that, you have executives that went without pay for so long and now you're trying to make nice with them, but to turn around and then lay people off, how does that look? No matter how you feel about things politically, that doesn't look good. That looks terrible. And it doesn't look like a company that says they care, like Disney always does, right? They're this family company, and yet they went ahead and turn around and did that. It's very unfortunate to see, and I know that in a letter that Senator Warren had penned to the Disney executives, she basically called them out for that and said, what are you guys doing? Why are you doing it? And you should answer for this because it's not fair to all the people that work for you. In return, Disney CEO Bob Chapek responded to the letter and basically came about saying, as you are well aware, this unprecedented crisis has had a devastating impact on companies nationwide, and businesses large and small have had to take the difficult steps required to weather the impact. He also said that the indictment that our past actions somehow weakened our financial cushion and our ability to retain and pay workers amid the pandemic is ill-considered and misleading. Katrina, this is something that I know draws a lot of fire from both sides of the aisle, and from people that are like, well, what were those executives supposed to do? Of course, they already went without pay for so long. And then you hear from the cast members that have been on furlough, and while they did get their benefits taken care of for a certain amount of time, it got to a point where not only did you have the federal unemployment running out, that boost that was there, you also had the benefits running out at a certain point, and then the layoffs started to happen. So, I mean, it's a messy situation for everybody, but definitely one where I can understand no matter what side of the aisle you stand on, it feels like there's an argument to be made.
I mean, no matter how you look at it, there's always going to be some kind of argument. And then, I mean, it was just really bad timing. I get it. The execs, a lot of them do a lot of work, and they do deserve to get paid, their money.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that, like, if Chapek was a good man, he would at least try to maybe cut some of the higher execs' salary by half to at least make it look good. If they really wanted to, like, look at it in a different way, and then try not to, like, let go all those people at once and, like, slowly let them go, and that probably would have been a good idea. Yeah, I don't know. That was just that was ill timing. And then on top of it, it's just like, yeah, I really want to see these people come back in the future, these 28,000. I mean, more now, but
Sure.
All the entertainment people are going to get cut. So I really want to see them come back, but they're going to get other jobs.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to come back, and maybe they will have an opportunity within like a couple years. I know like a couple people's contracts, they have 2 years to come back. If there is an opening or something and they're allowed to come back, they get up to 2 years, and then they get their status back at the 2 years. So if they do decide to come back within the 2 years, they get their status back. So I'm happy that they're at least trying to get people to come back if they are, able to actually open and have those positions available. But man, Chapek, I swear, he makes me so mad. I'm just like, why would you cut people's stuff, like pay, and then bring it back and then fire people?
Definitely.
I don't disagree with Warren.
Yeah, he's definitely not the guy that is the warm face of the company right now,
Obviously.
and has been put into a place where naturally he's going to take the brunt end of the stick at this point. But one thing that I wanted to mention was we obviously saw 200 cast members get called back for Buena Vista Street. Naturally, more will get called back as things get to reopen. But at the same time, we saw thousands of people received the pink slips the same week that 200 people got called back just recently. And then on top of that, one thing that I wanted to say before I kick it over to you, Tyler, is we also witnessed the sort of on-again, off-again contentious relationship that Disney had with the Actors Equity Union out in Walt Disney World. And that was all over how they were going to officially reopen and what was comfortable for the union and the members. And then finally they came to an agreement. And then right after the agreement happened, hundreds of performers got laid off just this past week, and they were then kicked to the curb too, unfortunately. And all these shows that we thought were probably going to come back in some capacity are not on the docket to return, and all of these shows are now up for the questioning of, are they even going to come back after this? We talk about Voyage of the Little Mermaid a lot at Hollywood Studios, and are certain experiences even going to return at this point? So this one, it all stings, and I know that they're a business and they have to make these decisions that are going to affect people's lives, but it sure felt like this could have been handled a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, so I get it. Like, I think what Chapek is trying to say is they set off certain funds for this and certain funds for that. And, like the money that comes in for this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the money that goes out for that. Like, sure. I get how giant corporations work. At the same time, when you get called out for that type of thing and your response is, you don't get it, Elizabeth. You don't know what you're talking about.
Sit down, Elizabeth.
You're so short-sighted. Like, honestly, that is sad, and it is inexcusable, in my opinion. I think that it is disgusting, and he should be ashamed of himself, and a lot of those executives should be ashamed of themselves, because they're making millions and millions of dollars while these other people are all getting laid off. And I get that people are going to get laid off no matter what, and it wasn't their fault that coronavirus is happening. But the timing, just everything about it was just terrible. Yeah. So to hear that this guy can't take a pay cut for more than a few months while he's also firing people left and right. Just screw you, Chapek. Honestly,
Nah.
like I honestly feel that way, and and just calling out a senator saying, "Well, you don't get it." Like, what a poor excuse. Then explain it. Explain it. Why does it not work, Chapek? Why do you have to have that much money? Because he has no legitimate reason.
How much does he
it's
make a
just
year?
Well, I know that there's the flat rate that he makes, but then what was getting called into question a lot were the bonuses that executives were making, and that's where they really make out well. So, their flat base rate, like I think even Bob Iger for the longest time was making just under double-digit millions as the CEO for as long as he was, which is interesting because in terms of other media companies and stuff like that, Disney being the biggest media company in the world, Bob Iger was basically afforded at kind of a steal in terms of how much he was getting paid. Other media company CEOs made a heck of a lot more than he did. I think Disney gets called out a lot because they are the company that they are, and they're all about the warm feelies and the emotional connection. And so Bob Iger was getting paid a lot less than most CEOs that run media companies were. I don't know what Chapek's initial salary was, but they make their extra millions. They make their biggest money when it comes to all the bonuses, and the bonus structure got reinstituted. And that to me, it's like, okay, if the whole company is tanking and the whole company is feeling the wrath of the pain of the pandemic, everybody is on this boat together, or at least it should seem that way.
No, they're on like a dinghy boat that's like, bye, see ya. Like, what is their bonus? Like, how do they get their bonus?
Yeah.
Because honestly, the business isn't doing very well right now. So if I hear that they're getting an end of year bonus, I'm going to get mad. Like all these, like you try to live for $15 an hour.
Yeah.
And the frontline workers are getting yelled at and getting pooped on by everybody saying to wear a mask, and then they get like verbally like yelled at by people. Like I want them to deal with that and they don't get paid enough. And then to see like their friends just get fired because there's not enough money, and all these execs are getting like double-digit millions of dollars just to sit in an office and not have to deal with all these people are pretty shitty.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. When we're in a situation where everybody's having to sort of tighten their belts and buckle up a little bit, sad to see that, at any point people have to lose their jobs anywhere. But it's definitely one of those situations where the optics of how things panned out here just looked so bad for Disney and for such an image conscious company, right? Such an organization that always seems to be about their people and about their brand and about taking care of everybody and the warm feelies. This one was not handled very well. I think we can all agree on. So there's a lot of people that have been affected by this, and certainly not Disney. It's across the board. A lot of people in hospitality right now are suffering and dealing with so much pain and not knowing where their next meal or how they're going to pay for the roof over their head, how that will pan out moving forward. But for everybody's sake, this is definitely one of those situations that stings a little bit on how it was carried out. And I'm sure this isn't the last we've heard from Senator Warren and from lawmakers that are looking at Disney as an example to be held. And definitely we're going to be hearing more from that down the line. Well, my friends, if you have a different opinion, if there's something that we missed here in terms of this discussion and you'd like to share it with us, make sure that you leave it in the comment section down below and share with us your perspective, because that's what it's all about, being able to have that trusted theme park perspective for more than just us. We're always listening to you.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.